crack, let the light break free. Hurting, living, loving. That's the road I'm running. Every scar, every tear makes the picture clearer here.
This is Hurting, Living, Loving, Healing, and I'm Chris Charlie. Quick request that you hang with me here as I work through this learning curve. This is not something that I've done in the past. This is all new to me. So thank goodness for good editing software because it helps. So bear with me. I will get better at this. I promise. All right, let's go. Episode 3. So what we're going to talk about today is moving forward, making changes, bouncing back, just taking yourself from where you are today to making a change. And that's hard. It can be hard. I guess it's as hard as we make it. And we are conditioned to do certain things based on, the whole nurture and nature deal. Now, remember, I'm not a scientist. I'm just a dude, but this is how I perceive what's going on and, why we are who we are and what we do. So making changes, I believe they can be difficult because we get, and especially now in this world today, we get going and doing what we do day after day. And it's so easy to get comfortable and it's so easy to fall into a routine and even a routine that is not healthy for us. And I think a lot of people, that's the routine. We make small compromises, we settle, we do what takes the least amount of time, and that is the path of least resistance, but it's not always the best for us. And when I was in early recovery, and this eventually applied over my entire life, but I made an agreement with myself to do something every day that made me uncomfortable because when I was in active addiction, I had closed myself off to so many things, and doing new things or redoing things that I did before was uncomfortable. So if I wanted to get back out and do some things, I had to expect to feel a little bit uncomfortable. Those things could have included just talking in a support group or speaking up for myself in a situation where my mind was telling me, don't do that, don't do that. But speaking up for myself was the right thing to do. And again, how did I know when? Well, I made an agreement with myself to start and end with love. So that's the approach. If it's coming from a place of love, then I didn't have to question my motives. I didn't have to question my intent, because if it was self-love or love for another person, then even if it came out weird, it came from a good place. And sometimes we just need practice at life. So we've been thinking about wanting to make a change or changing our lifestyle or doing something new. And sometimes there can be a lot of reasons why we don't. Analysis paralysis, that's overthinking something, wanting to do it perfectly. And in our quest to do something perfectly, we never get started. Maybe we don't know how. Maybe we're waiting for somebody to help us do it. Thanks to the internet, there's a lot of ways to facilitate that in simple ways. So you want to get going on a change. You want to get started somewhere. Good place to start is to start with love. Let's give our brain just a super simple step. Let's give us a reason to do this. And if we're going to be true to starting from a place of love, you can just tell yourself, I'm going to do this because I deserve it. I'm going to do this because it's the best thing for me. And I'm going to do it because I love myself. Step 1, just internalize it. Just make your decision with yourself that you're going to do something different. Number 2, think about what you want to do, but don't overthink. If you're somebody who plays video games too much and, or that you think is too much and you want to start mixing in some healthy routine. Maybe just take a walk, just think, but don't overthink. That's where that analysis paralysis comes from. Keep it super simple. A lot of times, what people do is they want to make a lifestyle change. And this is what I did. I wanted to make a lifestyle change and I wanted to change all these things at once. And that was just too difficult. Think, but don't overthink. You can, if you want to eat healthier, just jot yourself down a note. I'm going to start eating healthier. How am I going to do that? I'm going to eat 1 serving of vegetables more a day. I'm going to eat 1 less box of candy, or in my case, Haribos, a night. Make it something that is totally attainable, that is realistic, and that your brain can wrap itself around. That kind of flows into the next one. Set achievable goals. It's way easy to set super lofty goals when going for change, because who doesn't want to like hit a grand slam from day one? So setting achievable goals is really key. I mean, what you can do is if you've got a lot of goals that you want to accomplish, that's great. That's really great. But jot them down, make a list, or put it on a calendar. First month, diet. Maybe the first 3 months, diet. Maybe the first year, diet. Next, exercise. Figure out what that means to you, how you want to change, and give yourself the fairness and give your mind the fairness of making it achievable and doable. And that often comes with making one small change and doing it 100 times instead of making 100 changes and doing it 1 time. This is a big one for me. Use simple tools. The tools could be anything from, like I said, making a list. One of the things that I wanted to do was I wanted to get back into basketball shape. And so I just made this small checklist of push-ups, sit-ups, jogging. And I can't remember how I quantified that, but then I just taped it to my wall. So it was the first thing, or the last thing rather, that I saw as I took off out my room for the day. And so I was just constantly reminding myself of that goal that I had for myself. And inspiration can come from anywhere. And remember, we're talking about inspiration, not comparison. And those are 2 totally different things. Comparison is fool's gold. It's really easy to look at other people and compare yourself to other people. For me, what I did was I would always compare myself to somebody who was leading the class in whatever this was that I wanted to do. I would look at somebody who was super fit and who had like this great cardio channel or something. And I would just say like, man, from where I am now to where that is there's such a long way there. But then when you break it down into little steps, then it becomes inspiring. And so get inspiration from things or from people or even yourself, but try not to compare yourself to those people, because people who are typically talking about things like, setting and attaining goals, physical fitness, performance at work, or any of these things that you might come across in life are typically people who are well versed in these things, and we can't compare ourselves. However, we can draw inspiration from those people. You can be inspired by a song. If you've got a favorite jam, the Rocky theme song, of course, maybe some Journey, maybe a little old school hip hop, whatever, throw it on. Get inspiration from wherever you can that gives you just a little extra lift. Don't be afraid to have that lift come from you. Remember, this is about trying new things. And if you stand in front of a mirror right before you are about to take off, or when you start the day and you say, Chris, I'm going to do something different today and it's going to be awesome. If you try that and it doesn't work, cross it off. If you try it and your brain's like, hey, that was cool, do it another day. I mean, if you're worried about people seeing you, nobody's seeing you. You're the only person seeing you. So just try something new like that. And I guarantee you, you will start seeing these little changes. Let's see. As you get going, another place you can get inspiration from yourself is with gratitudes and celebrating the wins that you've already compiled. And so please use your own accomplishments as fuel for your further accomplishments. And so if you are somebody who has never exercised, say, and I'm just using fitness and diet because that's something that's near and dear to me. I've been very healthy and very fit when I was playing sports, and then I was very unhealthy and very fit when I was not in shape. So this is something that I can relate to. So if you're somebody who has never focused on diet and who has never exercised, if you put on your shoes and you walk down to the end of the block and that's as far as you've walked for months or years, celebrate that. Don't compare yourself to somebody else and say, well, that's not a win because there are so many people out there who run marathons. No, I mean, if you want to run a marathon, you'll get there one day if you put your mind to it, but we have to start somewhere, just like this podcast. I mean, this podcast I started 3 episodes ago and I'm figuring it out, fumbling my way through it as I go. So we all have to start our quest with something somewhere. And so make sure that whatever it is that you're doing, you're being as fair to yourself today based on where you are today. Okay? All right. And don't let anything stop you. Don't let anything stop you. Your mind may tell you, hey, today's not the day. I mean, that's taking me into my next point. You just have to go. You have to go. If you don't go, you're never going to get going. You're never going to start. And that was always my biggest hurdle, was procrastination. Tomorrow's the day. Tomorrow's the day. Tomorrow's the day I'm going to quit doing drugs. Tomorrow's the day I'm going to exercise. Tomorrow's the day. And I'll tell you, that first time is the hardest time. So use that as motivation. Once you've done day 1, day 2 is twice as easy. Day 3 is 3 times as easy. Day 4 is 4 times as easy. By the time you're on day 5, you feel like a pro. I promise you. And so once you start building these routines, then it's like you're on the other side of it. Then it's like, oh man, I can't live without this, right? My little 20-minute walk that I do every day, I can't live without this. You feel like that's what's missing as opposed to, that extra 20 minutes of video games. And that's the thing, when you put these things in relationship, when you look at it as time, right? And again, this is something that I'll say over and over. Time is the only real currency we have. And I'll tell you a little story about this. One of my best friends passed away from a fentanyl overdose a few years ago. And shortly thereafter, and I'm really good friends with his sister, shortly thereafter, his dad passed away. But his last day, his last words were, all I want is a little more time. And that moment right there, when she told me that, I realized that that's all we have. When we get to the end, all we want is more time. At first, it might feel like a sacrifice, but you're not really sacrificing anything. You're actually doing the opposite. You're actually growing, building, empowering yourself by doing these new things. So if you are somebody who plays video games or watches TV or does whatever it is that's preventing you from doing something that you don't want to do. If you take 20 minutes less of doing that and go for a walk, remember, this is about doing something today that's different than yesterday. And part of that is making yourself feel uncomfortable. Okay. So we got to go. Don't procrastinate. If you're going to do it, just do it. Okay. This one is really important. We're going to celebrate the wins, no matter how big or how small. And we're going to use ourselves as our own motivators, right? So we do have other places we're going to get this motivation and inspiration. But when we celebrate the wins, no matter how big or how small, then we become our own self motivator, because then you look forward to for whatever reason, this society, whether it's our focus on humility or not being boastful, that's a fine line. I mean, you want to have confidence, but not too much confidence, right? You want to have self-esteem, but not too much self-esteem. Well, I think we tend to err, or I tend to err, a lot of people tend to err on like no confidence and no self-esteem. And so it's really important that we do love ourselves. And in loving ourselves, we have some confidence that we're able to do these things. I mean, if we don't have any of that, then creating that cycle of self-joy and self-love is more difficult. And we're going to devalue ourselves in a way that's not going to allow ourselves self-care. So remember, you got to love yourself too. And so what does that look like? Well, if you make a list on your wall, come back and just put a little check mark for the day. And that's day 1. Day 2, another check mark. Day 3, you see what I'm saying? You can observe your wins. You can text a friend. Did it again today. And this is a great way to motivate yourself, is start your journey with somebody who's willing to do it with you. If you have a friend or a family member or anybody, you can even go find somebody online and challenge them to do a 10-minute walk every day. But then if you have when you're done, say, done for my 10-minute walk. Or if you have a neighbor, say, hey, would you walk with me every weekday for 10 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever? Would do you want to play pickleball with me down at the tennis courts for 20 minutes a day? Do you want to share some healthier diet tips or ingredient or recipes and then try to eat healthier with me? Do you want to focus on, improving whatever? Do you want to learn how to work on cars together? And these things can be done by yourself or with somebody. But if you add somebody to the mix, then it tends to improve accountability, at least for me. Definitely important is to celebrate the wins, no matter how big or how small. There are no small wins when you're just starting, when you're just getting going. The wins correlate to the amount of time. So, when you're just getting going with anything, you can't expect. This is where the comparison piece comes in. If you compare yourself to other people, your wins are going to seem small. For you, the wins are going to be huge, and you got to take them as huge. And then as you progress, then you're going to get more informed, more stamina, better ingredients, whatever the case may be. You're going to advance. So your wins are going to naturally get bigger as you progress, but celebrate them all the same. Doesn't matter. Just give yourself the credit. And don't leave love out of the picture. And ultimately that's what this is all about, is bringing it back to a place of self-care and self-love. This is all about advancing yourself in a way that gives you fulfillment, purpose, pride, tools and skills, whatever the thing may be. But this is about advancing, changing, evolving, and we can't evolve if we do the same thing every single day. You may have heard that saying that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I don't know if that's actually the definition of insanity. I don't think so, but it's a great idea, and there's some truth in that. So let's go back to what we've got here. So give yourself a reason. Super simple. Make an agreement with yourself. Brain, self, I'm doing this because I love you and we deserve it. Simple as that. And along with that is just remember through this whole thing is that change is as hard as we make it. If you can just pop up off the couch, put those sneaks on and hit a 10-minute walk or whatever the case may be, that wasn't hard, right? So if we sit there and we say, like, oh my God, this is going to suck, then it becomes harder. Okay. So just remember that. Think, but don't overthink. Just think about your goals. Think of where we are, where we want to go. And when we're starting out, there's literally an infinite amount of directions. Even if we aren't just starting out, for me today or anybody else today, we could pivot and do an infinite number of things differently that would better our lives. So if it helps, jot down the things that are preventing you from doing things. And it's often very easy to get those things out of the way. And usually those things are just happening in our minds. Just think, but don't overthink. Keep it simple. Set achievable goals, right? Make the goals something that's relative and achievable to where you are today. Use simple tools, inspiration, motivation without comparison, right? Just get the inspiration. Don't compare yourself. Avoid the analysis paralysis. Go. We got to go. We got to go. Don't wait. Because, there's always that sign, and you'll see a sign in a bar sometimes that's like, beer's free tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes. So that's, I don't drink or anything, but I've seen this and I'm always like, oh yeah, very clever, right? Because you come tomorrow and tomorrow is never here. So same thing here. I'm going to get fit tomorrow. I'm going to exercise tomorrow. Well, tomorrow comes and you say the same thing. So you got to go no matter what. It doesn't matter if it's raining. It doesn't matter if you got a flat tire. It doesn't matter if, your goldfish died, whatever. You're starting on this day. You can give yourself a little runway to prepare your brain. Make today different than yesterday. That small step that you're going to take, or big step that you're going to take, make today different than yesterday. Celebrate wins, no matter how big or how small. Don't forget to celebrate the wins. And then it all comes from and ends with a place of love, right? So we're telling ourselves why we're doing this, because we love ourselves and we owe it to ourselves. And then when it's done, when your head hits the pillow, Chris, thank you. Thank you for the workout today. Thank you for the, exercise, whatever, for the good food today to nourish our bodies. Thank you. And, that I might also thank God. I'm Christian. I thank God. God is love. Love is God. And you do you. That's how I might do it. But think about this too. If you had a friend or family member, somebody that you cared about that was struggling, what advice would you give to them? Give that advice to yourself. Live it, be it. Give yourself a chance. Love yourself. And please don't hesitate to go to my website, and it's HLLH.com. and post a comment. Let's get a community going. We can celebrate the wins together.
Pain can feel so lonely, like you have no home. But know while you're hurting, you're never alone. Sometimes you gotta do it hurt, you gotta do it scared, you gotta find a way. Hurt is the start, but it ain't the end. Wounds can heal